In Algebra section 2.3, we're going over a very important concept. This concept deals with slope. Essentially, it's hopefully you've gone over it in Algebra 1, but it's rise over run. So here we have a line that we've been working with, and it takes about how many points minimum to make a line? That's 2 points. Okay? So we just take any 2 points on the line and we label it x1, y1 and x2, y2. And basically what we're trying to figure out is how much it goes up and how much it goes over. However much it goes up, that's on the top, okay, because the slope is a fraction, and how much it goes over is on the bottom. So rise over run. So basically we're trying to find the change in y, so the change goes up or down, or the change in x. Does it go right or left? So that we know how to continue on the line. The equation with the 2 points is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's kind of like how you're using the distance formula. You have 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and you plug it in, but this time you're plugging it into this equation. And slope is represented by the letter m. So go ahead and make sure to write this down. Don't forget to write your vocabulary. And we're going to go over what's next. So, there's different types of slopes that you can see. If the slope starts increasing, so that means if you do how much it goes up and how much it goes over and you get a positive number, then it starts increasing, okay? If you get a negative number, then the line will start decreasing. The slope is showing us that it's going down. If you get m equals 0, that means it's straight this way. So anywhere on here, the slope is 0. And if you get it straight up and down, that means the 0 is on the bottom. So you did the math, and that means it doesn't change on the bottom. There's no run. So it doesn't go left or right, it just goes straight up and down. Anything, if you put in your calculator, anything over 0 is undefined. So slope that's undefined means it goes straight up and down. Now, there's two different, and you see that in your vocabulary, there's two different ways lines can intersect. Well, there's two different types of intersection of lines. And the first one is that they don't intersect at all. If lines do not intersect, and that means they have the same exact slope. That means if you did the math, the rise over run, the m would be exactly the same. So if they have the same slope, that means that they will continuously keep going in the same direction at the same time, and they'll never intersect. This is what is called parallel lines. So parallel lines have the same slope, and therefore they never intersect. And the opposite of that are perpendicular lines. Okay, and we went over perpendicular a little bit in Algebra 1, but perpendicular lines basically, oh, that's not straight at all. Perpendicular lines essentially are two lines that they don't just intersect, but they intersect at exactly 90 degrees. That's what perpendicular means. So their slopes are -1. So what that means, if I multiply the slopes, so if I have m1, this is m1 times m2, I'm going to get -1. So if I took this slope, okay, and I multiplied it by this slope, I should get a -1, and that's perpendicular lines. They intersect at 90 degrees, okay? So let's do an example. It wants me to find slope between 1 and 3, and -2 and -3. So basically, just like when we dealt with the distance formula, I'm going to have x1, y1, x2, y2. Alright? When that happens, I'm just going to plug it into my equation of a slope. So if you remember, the equation of a slope is y2 minus y1, okay, over x2 minus x1. So basically I just plug it in and go ahead and do the math. So y2 is m equals y2, which is -3, minus y1, which is -3, okay, minus +3, and then x2, which is -2, and x1, which minus positive 1. This gives me negative 3 minus 3 would give me negative 6. Okay? Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Okay? These negatives cancel out, giving me 6 over 3. And 6 over 3 is 2 over 1. Or basically just 2, it doesn't matter. So what that means is, in my graph, that means from one point to another, it's going to go up 2 and over 1. Up 2 and over 1. And that's basically how I'm going to find the slope. So on your own, go ahead and try page 74, number 2. That's going to be your first problem on slopes. And we have one more problem after this. Don't forget to pause and write down what we just did. In this problem, we're going to graph the line through 4, negative 2 that is perpendicular to the line 3x minus 2y. Now this has some parts for it, different parts that we have to solve, because in this case, we need to first find the slope of this line. Okay, so let's first find the slope of this line. And we're going to do this by graphing this line, and we're going to find the intercepts. Okay, so the first one is that I'm going to find the x-intercept, and remember, in order to find the certain intercept, I have to put a 0 on the other number. So if I want to find the x-intercept in this, what letter do I have to put the 0 in? And if I want to find x, I have to put the 0 in for y. So 2 times 0 is 0, so that cancels out. So we have 3x equals 6. And then divide both sides by 3, I end up with x equals 2. Okay? Now I do the same thing on this side, but I want to find the y-intercept. So this tells me that I have to put a 0 in for x. So I have 3 times 0, which is 0, minus, well, this cancels out actually, we can just forget that. So we end up with negative 2y equals 6, and we divide both sides by 2. Negative 2, we get y equals negative 3. So what this tells me is that on my x, the line intercepts at positive 2, and on my y, it intercepts at negative 3. So that's my line. Okay? In order for me to find my slope, okay, I need to find how much it goes up and how much it goes down. So basically, I'm looking for my rise over my run. Okay? I'm going to go up how many? So basically, how did I move from one point to another? I moved 1, 2, 3 up. Okay? So I moved 3 up. So 3 is my rise. And then I moved 1, 2 over. So this is my slope. Did you see how I found that? I figured out how much I went up. 1, 2, 3. Now sometimes it's going down. It's negative, but this is a positive slope. So that means I went up 3, and I'm going to go positive 2. If I went backwards, it'd be negative. So it's 3 over 2 is my slope. But the problem is, if this was parallel, if it's asking for parallel, because this one's asking for parallel down here, your example. If it's asking for parallel, that means I use the exact same slope. But what it's asking for is perpendicular. Okay? And what that means is it's the opposite slope. So if I have 3 over 2, I have to do the opposite, reciprocal, and change the sign. So since this is positive, my perpendicular one is going to be negative. So basically, it's going to be opposite. So this is positive, this is then negative. And if this is negative, then the perpendicular slope would be positive. So this is positive, we're going to have a negative perpendicular slope, and then I take the fraction, and I'm just going to flip it. So 2 over 3. So this is my negative 1 slope. That means if I multiply this and this together, I should get negative 1. So you can go ahead and try it. If I multiply 3 over 2 times negative 2 over 3, then I'll get a perpendicular slope. Now this is the toughest part, is figuring this out. After you figure out this, then we're going to apply this part. Okay? Because it wants us to go through. So this is my starting point right here. I'm going to go find this point, this positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 2. So this is positive 4 and down 2. And what that's telling me is that that's my starting point. I'm going to apply my new slope. And what does my new slope tell me? Okay? It tells me that I'm going to go, since it's negative, I'm going to go what? I'm going to go down 2, but I'm going to go up, to the right 3. So I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and then to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So this becomes my new line. And if you can see right here, they hit at a 90-degree angle. One more time, what I did is I had the starting point because it wants our new line to go through this point. So I ignored this until after I found the slope. Once I found the slope, then I started at +4, -2. Okay, so +4, down 2. And then I went down 2, okay, because this is my rise. This is how much I go up and down, and this is how much I go left and right. So I went down 2 and over 3. And once I have 2 points, I can draw a line through it, and this is my perpendicular line. So go ahead and try that. It's page 74, number 10. And remember, this one is parallel instead of perpendicular. So you're going to be using the same slope, so you don't have to go through this perpendicular slope. And if you have any questions, we'll go over it in class. So go ahead and do page 74, number 10, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.